Hey besties, welcome back to my channel. I'm Rhiannon. I'm an astrologer, somatic educator, and witch, and my goal is to empower you to tap into your magic and understand yourself on a deeper level, as well as the cycles of life you're moving through. In today's video, I'm sharing my top 5 favorite books for anyone that's just starting out in their astrology journey. These books have been incredibly helpful for me, and I'm excited to share them with you. Now, before we dive into these books, I want to mention that I am a Western tropical astrologer and I use the Placidius house system. There are many different systems and styles of astrology, and I think it's really important to choose one that is right for you. So I personally learned using the Placidius system and I've stuck with it. However, I do encourage you to explore and experiment and find the style that resonates the most with you. If you're looking to purchase any of these books, links will be in the description box below. The first 2 books are great for personal development and understanding your natal charts. So really diving into who you are and what your strengths and challenges are. The first book I want to share with you is Astrology for Yourself by Douglas Bloch and Demetra George. So this is actually the first book I ever picked up way back in 2018, and to say it changed my life is an understatement. This book really lit the fire under me to dive deep into astrology. I really learned so much about myself using this workbook. It's really amazing for self-discovery and learning how to read your natal chart. So it's very practical, it's very comprehensive. It dives deep into astrology with a little bit of psychology and really understanding yourself on a deeper level. This is a really, really good starting point for someone new to astrology, especially someone who wants to read their natal charts. So there's journal prompts, worksheets, and they're all super helpful for applying what you're reading and learning for your own personal growth and self-awareness. It does provide a step-by-step guide to interpreting planets, signs, houses in your own chart, and there's even a section about interpreting relationship dynamics, compatibility, and communication styles. One thing I do have to mention is that this is an older book. There's some information in the beginning about how to look up your own birth chart. It was really way too outdated to be of any help at all. So there's many resources online that you can look up your birth chart. One of my favorites is astro.com. You input your date, exact time, and place of birth, and it gives you a basic chart. Now that is a really great place to start. This book and workbook does go into detail about some of the asteroids, and these asteroids don't show up on basic charts. So for me, this was really a point of frustration. I kind of quit my studies for a while because I was confused and I didn't know how to find that information. So if you're familiar with astro.com, when you scroll down, there is an area where you can input to have these asteroids show up, so you can use the workbook with them. But if you aren't familiar with astro.com and you're feeling a little stuck and you're trying to work through this workbook, please reach out to me. My email is in the description box below, and I would love to help you get your chart with all those asteroids, so you don't end up with the same frustrations I did when I was starting out. All right, so the second book is The Inner Sky by Stephen Forrest. And I didn't actually pick up this book until after I had already finished all 3 levels of my astrology training. And I really wish I had gotten it sooner. This by far is my favorite book to date, and I always have it on hand. I really love how Stephen's writing style is very engaging, very insightful. He really makes complex concepts accessible to anyone. So he's an evolutionary astrologer, and he's really remarkable at storytelling and weaving together spiritual wisdom and psychology. So the information that he really provides is very practical and incredibly helpful. He really helps you to learn the vocabulary of astrology and skillfully interpret your own birth chart, and it can help you interpret others. His writing is so beautiful, it's funny, and the stories he provides really help solidify learning of the information. So I really cannot recommend this book enough. So the third book I'm recommending is also by Stephen Forrest, and I seriously can't get enough of him in the way he writes and teaches. So this book is called The Book of the Moon. And if you know anything about me, you know that I'm obsessed with the moon. It's the closest planet to us, and we get to physically look up and see its ever-changing presence in the sky above. So in astrology, the sun and the moon are considered planets. It's for simplicity, even though they're actually luminaries, so you'll often hear the moon referred to as a planet. So most astrologers just describe the moon as our inner feelings and our emotions, but Stephen really takes it to a really much deeper level. In this book, he describes the many facets of the moon and how incredibly valuable the moon is at teaching us not only about our emotions, but about our instincts, about our subconscious patterns. He really skillfully describes how the moon is our heart and soul. It can teach us about our mood averaged over our lifetime. It teaches us our reigning needs, our evolutionary goals, as well as the secrets to happiness and healing. What more do you want? All right. He also teaches about the shadow sides of our moon placements and kind of teaches you ways that we can all hold ourselves back from our own evolution. So if that wasn't deep enough, he takes it so much further. So there is a little bit more of in-depth information about the lunar cycles, including the 8 phases and the energies associated with each phase. He teaches you how to harness this energy. I've yet to find another book that has such in-depth information on the moon, as well as practical guidance on interpretation. So one of my favorite parts about this book is the way that he describes the lunar phases and his interpretations of how being born during each specific lunar phase can really shape our personality. Such a good book. So just a quick note that there is some information in this book that goes into more advanced techniques. However, I still think the majority of it is very helpful and accessible for beginners. Have you ever just looked up at the sky in awe of the moon? I feel like I do this all the time. As I mentioned before, I am obsessed with the moon. I do hold new and full moon ceremonies every month. They are free and virtual, so if you're interested in learning how to work with the moon, or you're just as obsessed with the moon as I am, please feel free to join us in ceremony. The link to join is in the description box below. I have included this next book because it truly is the only astrology book you'll ever need. Mastering Traditional Astrology by Michael Bryan. This is the most thorough and comprehensive book I have found on traditional Western astrology. I'm really amazed at the amount of knowledge and information here that I haven't found presented anywhere else. Now, this book is more like a school textbook, all right? It's a textbook. Each chapter begins with objectives to be discussed in the upcoming chapter, and it finishes with a list of questions to make sure that you're actually learning and digesting the information that's presented. He really does an amazing job at starting from the very beginning, and he presents the material in just such a structured and masterful way. There's ancient wisdom and ancient traditions, and he also ties it into more contemporary ways of interpreting the information as well. So it's very easy to understand, it's very well written, and my Virgo moon really loves the depth and detail presented in this book. And truly, it's the only astrology book you'll ever need. Now, this next book is one I don't really hear other people talking about very much, but I really found it very interesting and helpful. This book is called Cosmic Health by Jennifer Rassiopi. This book takes on a holistic wellness approach to integrating astrology with your emotional, spiritual, mental, and physical well-being. Her writing style is super intuitive, it's insightful, and it's empowering. She also provides rituals, exercises, and practical tools for self-care and harnessing cosmic energies for your own health and vitality. So what's not to love about all of that? The somatic educator in me really, really loves the approach that she takes in this beautiful book, and I really recommend it. So those are my top 5 picks for books for astrology beginners, but I did want to mention just one more book before we go. And before I get to the last book, I did want to talk briefly about somatic education because I found that most people have no clue what that even means. So I'm going to try to sum it up as quickly and concisely as I can. Somatics is a holistic approach to learning and healing that emphasizes our connection with our own bodies. So soma is the Greek word for body, and it refers to the body as the center of experience and the primary focus of attention for understanding and promoting well-being. In our modern society, we are taught that the mind is everything, and we often become very disconnected from our bodies. We're disconnected from the sensations arising within our bodies. So somatic education really emphasizes the importance of tuning into bodily sensations and using them as a resource for healing, growing, and for our own self-transformation. Okay, now I want to share this last book, and honestly, it didn't make the list because it's a brand new book. It was just released earlier this year, and I haven't read it all. However, as a somatic educator, what I have read really touched me on a deep and profound level. This book is absolutely gorgeous, and it's called Living Astrology by Britton LaRue. She gracefully acknowledges that no matter what your natal chart looks like, we all have the qualities of each sign in us. And she really takes an emergent approach on how to incorporate the wisdom of each sign into our everyday lives. She really gently encourages the reader to individually discover and embrace the qualities of each sign. She encourages grace and compassion. This is not your typical astrology book, and it goes way beyond the typical sun, moon, and rising approach. This book includes journaling prompts, rituals, how to set up an altar, and what to include, as well as tarot cards. So this book really, to me, feels like a warm embrace, really encouraging the gentle exploration of all of our parts. So I've begun working with this book, how Britton suggests, which is reading each chapter when the sun moves into each sign. So I'd highly suggest you do that as well. I think that this is such a beautiful book, and I can't wait to dive further into it. I'm curious, have you read any of these books? Did you like them? Did you dislike them? Is there one you think that should have been included that I did not include? Let me know in the comments below. Again, I've included all the links to purchase these books in the description below, and I sincerely hope these suggestions really help you on your journey of self-discovery and understanding astrology. If you thought this video was valuable, please go ahead and like and subscribe. It really helps me out in keeping the channel going. And if you want to deep dive into your own natal chart with me, you can book a reading on my website, which is also listed in the description box below. I'm interested to hear what other videos you would like to see from me, and you can put that in the comment box as well. All right, besties, until next time, stay curious and embrace your own magic.